The imperial ruler of the Green State awoke refreshed and enlivened after a wondrous night of sleep, as the golden sunlight pierced through the palace windows early on Sunday morning. He strolled to the balcony overlooking the sanitized river, the meadows of disinfected wheat, and the rows upon rows of sacred prisms which dotted the landscape. Each one was set inside a glass dome like so many pulchritudinous flowers breathing life into a well-run greenhouse. The ruler clapped his hands. Two green attendants came running at a gallop, as though they'd been shot from a highly strung bow. "My sons," the imperial one prefaced his remarks, "today is a glorious day." He paused for a moment to glare into the eyes and around the faces of the two cleanliness lackeys. "Is it not a glorious day?" he asked distractedly. "No, Emperor Fang," answered the attendant on the left, "it is indeed a glorious day," while the one on the right merely bleated incoherently, "Yes, indeed, your eminence," but before the second lackey could finish releasing his mouthful of bureaucratic platitudes, he'd been cut off by a simple wave of the green one's hand. "Do you know why it is a glorious day?" the ruler inquired, almost offhandedly. The rightmost lackey answered, "Surely you will tell us, master." To which the green one responded, It is such a glorious day because—" Both green fools gasped simultaneously while awaiting the emperor's reply. Another raising of the green one's hand shamed them into stone silence. In a matter-of-fact tone, the imperial ruler said, "It is a glorious day precisely because I say that it's a glorious day. What do you two silkworms have to say about that?" Before they'd had time to reply, two members of the Green Fist, the Emperor's royal police force, were busily dragging a struggling anti-green dissident into a glass dome below, thereupon thrusting him ingloriously into the green prism inside. "Ah, what do we have here?" The Emperor sighed and scratched his beardless chin. He addressed his next remark directly to the two frightened attendants. "Tisk, tisk! Disobedience to the imperatives will not be tolerated." Each month since his ascension to the throne in a bloody coup 23 years prior, the imperial ruler had addressed his royal subjects from this same balcony, littering their lives with his now infamous written imperatives. The emperor yelled down to the two green fists, "Good work, gentlemen! You will be rewarded for your efforts." He then addressed the two fools of whom he'd just tired. With a swift wave of the hand, he dismissed them. "Now off with you both!" he shouted. They each scattered in a different direction like two rabbits from the sound of a shotgun. The ruler then retreated into his private office. "Bring me my report on the status of the infidels." He slammed the top of his favorite antique table for added emphasis. His number one flunky flew off at record speed to retrieve the emperor's monthly report from the Minister of Mental Hygiene. The minister himself, who had been in the next room, responded personally to the summons. "O great and unfathomable master, here is the report that you requested." "Cut the horse shit and just give it to me," cried the green one. "Today marks the 30th capture of an enemy to the cause," crowed the minister. "Splendid work, my friend. You have lined your ducks all in a row, as I have requested of you. Why are there so many accursed infidels? What can their kind ever hope to accomplish?" They fear the power of your immaculate ideals, Emperor." "Ah, yes," he agreed, "but we must break the back of the resistance before they return us to the days of slovenliness." "We can't have that. No, we can't." "And we shan't." "Minister." "Yes, O wise master?" "My dear ancient friend, how have the recalibrations been progressing?" "There are 10 new converts to the great cause. The other 2 have sworn to hold out till their deaths." "And what of the 13th?" "He was just captured this morning, Emperor Fang," replied the minister gleefully, "by your ever-watchful green fist." "I thank you for your wonderful report, minister. If the 2 who desire death still hold out till nightfall, then by all means grant them their wish, O minister of doom." "The first has only recently been caught littering. The second is a widower who refuses to wear the royal medallion of cleanliness on his work tunic." The Green One had become incensed by this show of insolence toward and insubordination to his divinely inspired imperatives. "Perhaps we will not even wait until nightfall," he thundered. "Kill them now!" "But your imperial loftiness—" "You heard me, Minister. Bring them before me. I will show you the only way to deal with enemies of the state. Before long, our glorious motherland will no longer be green and washed and holy. Bring them before me at once." "Yes, Emperor." The Minister of Mental Hygiene exited the ruler's chambers and motioned to a subordinate to fetch the two inveterate infidels. Nary a word needed to be spoken. Within 10 minutes the prisoners had been brought before the sovereign. He eyed them up and down. "What have you to say for yourselves?" he barked. "Speak clearly, for your answers may save your lives." The taller one, the litterer, spoke first. In defiant tones, which took the Emperor by surprise, he answered, "I want nothing from you, you pig who belongs on the people's spit. And spit is what I shall do." With that oath under his belt, he spat contemptuously on the Emperor's starched collar, just barely grazing the iron ruler's neck. "For this you shall die an ignominious death," hollered the Green One, who thus unsheathed his royal sword and ran the young man through several times in rapid succession. With a morsel of spittle still clinging to his neck, the enraged Emperor stormed, "And what have you to say for yourself, old man?" Clearly the remaining dissident had been rattled by the sudden turn of events and was at a loss for words. Finally the rebellious one simply said, "If it would please your eminence, I wish to join the recently departed young man in some world other than that which we currently occupy. But please, Emperor, please apologize for your actions, and save face in the eyes of your dead ancestors." "You fool!" screamed the unrepentant ruler. "I will strike you down like a dog." And no sooner had he said these fateful words than he had sliced open the belly of the second infidel. "Your Eminence!" interjected the minister, taking one nervous step forward. "Silence!" The Emperor summarily held out his hand. "There has been enough killing for one day. I tire of this madness." "Please, your Eminence!" The Emperor held the blade menacingly in front of the minister's nose. "Did I not request your silence, Minister?" "Yes, your Imperial Greatness. 1,000 humble pardons." "Then leave me in peace," gently intoned the Green One. He then clapped his hands twice in rapid succession. "Someone, please remove this pile of human refuse from my sight, and clean the blood. I want not a drop of it to stain my sacred chambers." Soon enough, twilight had fallen upon the green earth, and the Emperor slept uneasily the whole night through. Visions of demons and dragons had haunted him. He had been unable in his dreams to wipe the blood off his royal sword, or to keep it from staining his immaculately white garments. Ghosts of his former enemies had circled him about like a wall of unholy stones. He had thrashed in his sleep for hours like an ill child not long from his mother's womb, having been born into a life of sorrow. And there had been one particularly odious enemy, a prisoner no less, who had refused to conform to the sacred ways of the Emperor's green state. The imperial ruler had ended up fearing for his own life in the dream, a nightmarish conclusion indeed. Meanwhile, within the confines of the green prism, the 13th prisoner stubbornly defended himself against the mind waves which were being sent at him by the green mentalists of the royal psyche. The minister swore up and down that the state would be avenged of this human cancer. The prisoner then collapsed from sheer emotional exhaustion soon after the torture session had ended. Early the next day, the minister called upon Emperor Fang in the hope of bringing the latest infidel to justice. The Emperor was not feeling at all well, although he'd found time to meet with his old friend and confidant, the minister. "Minister," he began, "please forgive my disheveled appearance. I have taken ill from the effects of a fitful night of sleep. What news have you for me today? Your Eminence, my heart grieves for you. Yet I request that you please avenge the state against the 13th prisoner." The Emperor was aghast. He held up his hand peremptorily before speaking. "Minister, please, what seems to be the offense of the infidel?" Why is he so deserving of the headman's axe? Your Eminence, great master of the green earth, this particular dissident has deflected the glowing mind waves of the green prism back at us and back at you. He is a threat to the entire green kingdom. Perhaps so, yet I have dreamt only last night of my own potential destruction. You see, Imperial Leader, his mind is a powerful one indeed. You must run him through with your sacred sword of justice before he impoverishes us all, ranted the frothing minister. Then bring the prisoner into my presence, grinned the monarch with renewed vigor and confidence. As was his wish, so was it done. Kneel before me, infidel, thundered the green despot. And lo and behold, the prisoner knelt. The Emperor could sense that there was an aura of smug superiority on the part of the young man, in regard to both the ruler and the royal court itself. His wan smile, supremely evident after having endured a great deal of mind torture during his brief stay inside the green prism, seemed to portend disaster for the Emperor and his beloved green state. I hear that you have been a real problem for our prism guards, ventured the green monarch. You seem to cause them endless headaches for such a recent arrival. How is this so? It is so, Your Eminence, because I am here to cause your undoing. Impudent young man, mused the great green one, and how do you propose to alter the course of my iron rule? I have resisted your prism brainwashers. I can resist you as well. You speak with an air of confidence, for one who will likely die for his impudence. It is you who will die, your imperial sullenness. This last response had caused the green dictator to reflect on its significance. He drew both hands together onto his chin, with each index finger pointing to the noiseless heavens above. After a moment's additional pause, he continued his interrogation. Are you the one who has littered my dreams with the fury of ancient demons lately? Last night, for instance? Yes, it was I, Your Eminence. Enough of this impertinent drivel, raved the minister. Kill the scoundrel! Patience, minister, drawled the Emperor. And now, please continue, my son. I am not your son, Emperor. I am your executioner. At this last outburst, the Emperor drew his sacred sword. Perhaps we will test your theory, young man. Prepare to meet your ancestors. The 13th prisoner then shut his eyes tightly and concentrated his thoughts on the weakness in the Emperor's aging arms. The sword soon afterward became like a lead weight in the ruler's fever-soaked hand. Your mind is strong, young one, but... Then the sword fell helplessly to the chamber floor. This cannot be, marveled the minister. My eyes do deceive me. This scoundrel bears a mind that is stronger than your own, Emperor. It will take more than your paltry prisms to stop me, Your Eminence, chortled the young brigand. He then lunged for the sword, thereupon brandishing it mendaciously toward the green ruler. Several palace guards had thereupon flooded the Emperor's room, armed with glinting weaponry, though none of them could approach closely enough to disarm the youthful assassin. Prepare to meet your ancestors, Eminence. And no sooner had the young man spoken these portentous words than he had thrust the Emperor's own holy sword expertly through the chest and heart of the insidious monarch. The impaled green sovereign gasped to catch his final breaths, spun precariously in one agonizingly swift earthbound orbit, and hit the ground with a thud. There were bloody streaks all over his mouth and the front of his milk-white tunic. His eyes no longer saw the world as he had seen it just seconds ago. Within moments, they would be destined never to see it again. Young man, you have... He struggled to find the words to congratulate his stout-hearted enemy. Succeeded in your quest. He sighed painfully, closed his eyes for the last time, and died mercifully there on the spot. The young man then addressed his last remarks to the assembled green fists and the flustered minister. There will be no more green prisms in this land. They have brought nothing but death, dishonor, and disgrace to our homeland. Choose yourselves another ruler, but choose wisely. My work is done. I now face my ancestors with renewed pride. And on that note, the gracious young man removed the sword with which he had just slain the Emperor, wiped clean its impressive silver blade, faced the east western wind, and without so much as a whimper, ended his own life. And so ends World of Green Prisms.